Of course, I speak to him all the time.
Yeah,
He's
but
very,
he's
very
just
sick.
right here.
Yeah. No, he doesn't go out the house.
What happened to him? Since
Exactly.
COVID, we did in the beginning. Taka used to come on the Zoom. How are you?
Yeah,
In the
you're right.
beginning, he would come on the Zoom after
Yes.
COVID.
He was in my Shabbat table a lot of times.
Yeah.
He's a tremendous amount of pain in his stomach. He's not digesting food at all. He can barely even eat a drop.
What does he do? They go through the stomach
He
directly.
went through many, many doctors. Every doctor is like puzzled. They say we don't know what it is. They say like it's some kind of safari. They said some kind of Mediterranean disease from Mediterranean. They really don't know.
No, they don't find
No.
How does he
And
eat? Directly to the stomach?
I know I don't know why.
probably skinny like this.
Very skinny
Never.
and doesn't have no.
Where do you see him? How do you see him? You went to
I go to his house all the time on Shabbat, and I used to take him to shul, take him down the steps, and go to the shul across the street. He was his biggest joy in the world. Somebody held him, and
Why don't go with wheelchair?
he won't go anymore.
Why?
He won't go.
Can't move.
He can't. Yeah.
No,
No,
they
No,
put him in
he's
wheelchair.
in agonizing pain.
No, but
Who is
please
that? Who
send
is
him our
that?
best. Please send our best. And
Very now. Yeah,
if he's feeling at all a little better, we'd love to see him on the Zoom.
Him and his friend.
Yeah. Right.
The friends sometimes come.
Learner, my son
Now we hear you.
Benny is in the IDF in the active duty. Benny is
Who?
now my son Benny is now in active
That means there's
duty.
more bugs in it.
It's very long.
He's in active. He's in active duty.
I don't know what's wrong. Speaker here.
Benny's in active duty
What's speaking of serious?
in IDF.
You could meet him.
You have to check.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, I mean, he should come home safely.
Oh man, Benjamin
Amen.
Benjamin Menachem Mendel. Benjamin Menachem Mendel.
He's not
Ben
moving
David
too much.
Shammai.
Okay.
Benjamin Menachem Mendel. Ben David Shammai.
What's his mother's name?
What was the final
Nina Chaya. Nina
Yam
Chaya.
Menachem Mendel Benina Chai should come back safely from the war.
Man.
Oh,
David Sabge's son.
Amen,
He was suffering
amen,
at the beginning,
amen.
living in Ashkelon. He got hit very bad.
Okay,
an-
Rabbi Isai.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
Sif Dalad. We're holding page Tov Kuf Ches. Tov Kuf Ches. We're learning Hilchos Birkas Hamazon. We started to discuss 3 shittis. We said there is whether Birkas Hamazon requires a kois. Some say that Birkas Hamazon needs a kois, like Kiddush and Havdalah need a kois. And you should, even when you're private by yourself, you always make Birkas Hamazon with a kois. Shabbos, Yom Tov, weekday,
Wow.
and it's a choiva. And if you know that you don't have a kois, you shouldn't even wash and bench. Then even
What?
lechem.
It's the best shit.
Even if you're gonna miss a meal.
Afkuf head.
What daf? What daf are you?
However, we said the page is Tov Kuf Vav. So, no, I'm sorry, Tov Kuf Ches. I just was going back and looking myself. Tov Kuf Ches. The other opinion is that Birkas, some say only when you make a zimun
Okay.
do you need a kois. And some say the third most lenient shita says that even when you have a zimun of 3 or 10,
Right.
even then you don't need a kois. However, it is a mitzvah and a muvchar when you do have a zimun to make a birchas hamazon with a kois. And that is the minig now. What we do,
Yeah.
that we only make it. We do not make a bracha and a kois at all when we are biyichidus. Only when we are with a zimun and pi kabbalah, it's dafke that way. We don't make biyichidus.
Did 3 women also make a
And the Mishnah Brura we read last week also passed in this way. He actually brings it from the Graz with the Alter Rebbe. That the minig, he quotes over here the Alter Rebbe, the minig is not to make an akois biyachid.
Did women, 3 women need to get a make a zimmer? Of course. The same here.
I think they could make a zimun, yeah. I think they could make a zimun.
Wow. What?
The mice, I don't see them doing it.
Why?
They're not knowing.
Why women don't do zimmer?
That's a good question. Now, afterwards we learned
10 women can daven.
Yeah, but
Make
not
a
the
minyan.
minyan. No,
What?
no,
No.
saw Orthodox women daven.
no. Thank you. Maybe with the koiser.
No,
No,
When I was walking by Mendes, they reported,
they
then
can't
women
make a
went to the
kaddish.
kitchen.
No, they
asked
can't
if
make
they
a
can come in.
kaddish. They can't make a kaddish.
That's
No.
for shalom. No.
Why not?
No, they
make-
can't. We learn out from the Meraglim
Mm.
that it's 10
Yeah.
because it was 10
Berov
people.
Hamadat Melech. Yeah, okay.
10 because the Shu and Kalev were not part of the Meraglim.
Right.
He said, I
Kol
must say,
ha'edah.
Le'eda Hara Azois.
Hey,
The Eda Hara was only 10. It was 10 men.
Mhm.
But Zimun is different. Zimun is different.
So the question is why we don't see women are benching today? Because they don't like to drink the cup, the wine, or
It has nothing to do with the wine. They don't make Zimun for some
right?
reason. I don't know why. I don't know.
And what
Maybe
was he
having
saying
Merazov
about the
else.
making of minyan?
I don't
No,
know.
there's no such thing.
There is women that do say Kaddish, but not that there is women that say Kaddish.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there is the let's say they
No-
don't have a
no-
husband
no
or it's a daughter, they
sons.
don't have a son,
Sometimes they say quietly in the
he'll
shul
stay
to
as
say
a Muslim and
Kaddish.
say Kaddish.
You know who did it?
Yeah.
Well, the
Because he had no boys.
but I said Kaddish the whole year for it.
Fine, but I'm saying he had no boys.
I
It's
told the
different.
girl. I said, I'm saying. She said, I want to say.
Wow.
He used to daven over here. You remember him?
Oh,
Shmuel Fagel.
Yeah, he stayed with so many years in our shir.
Right. So when he died, his daughter, he had
Yes,
two
He only had
daughters.
daughters, right?
So they asked Moses, can I say a Kaddish over here? So we let them.
What, by the
she came down
Shloshim?
here.
Every Shabbos? She would
No, but the outside.
Oh, by the yards.
I wasn't. Listen.
I think it was more common in Europe. It was more common in Europe where there were ladies saying Kaddish.
Israel still doesn't.
Where?
Young Israel, ladies do all the time.
Oh.
Very good.
Eh,
The lady said,
Yeah, Kaddish allowed.
They used
If there are
to.
men also-
nobody hear them. Only the
If there are men
You don't
also-
find it in Haredi communities. You don't find it, but I think in Europe it was more common. I think that's saying Kaddish. You know, someone had a son, only son. The mother would call the son my Kaddishal
additional.
because he was going to say Kaddish for me after me.
Look at that.
I remember reading Rabbi Hirschsprung. He was the chief rabbi. The Rabbi Hirschsprung, the famous guy, and lived in Montreal. He was a Rosh Hashiva, and he became and he was the chief rabbi there. So he has a book, by the way, a very interesting book that he wrote about his Zechroinus. I think he wrote it in Yiddish originally, but it's in Hebrew and English. Fascinating book where he tells of the whole story of how the war started and what happened with him and his whole escape and how he ended up in Canada. So he goes through his life a little bit and what happened exactly. Very detailed. He had a fabulous memory. Huh?
He went to Shanghai, no?
Yeah, but he came, I think, earlier.
No, it could have been he was with the mirror. He wasn't with the.
It wasn't only that. It was you're right. He wasn't to Lubavitch specifically, but he wasn't to Lubavitch. But he went to Yeshivas Chachmei Lublin. Chachmei Lublin also had a contingent in. There was the main thing was Mir and Yeshivas Chachmei Lublin. Lubavitch had maybe 40 Bachrim. Wasn't your family there?
Because my father had an uncle, Rabbi Rothstein. That's why he was able to come to America. But all these, the reason there's such a big killer of Lubavitch's Montreal is because they couldn't get papers to come into America, but Canada allowed them in.
But there was a group from Canada. There were a group that when they originally went, they went first to Kobe, Japan. They went through the whole Russia. They escaped through that Sugihara. The paper. They went through Russia, right? Your father was one of those, right? You got from Sugihara, right? Did you meet the family when they had an event?
No.
So, who was your father and your uncle, right?
His uncle that died there in Shanghai, and I think there's a highway over it now.
Oh.
And
There's a letter written about from Chassidim about that by your uncle that he's dying, like he doesn't have any food, anything, right?
but now, then there was my father, and he had another brother and a sister, and then there was a third brother who died, and another brother who was in Eretz Yisrael.
If I'm not mistaken, when Hirschman came, there was a group that they first went to Kobe, Japan. After Russia, they left Russia and went to Japan. Then at one point they had an ability for a certain amount to come to Canada. Canada maybe gave visas or something for refugees, and there was some type of goyrel, some type of system where a certain amount of refugees were allowed to leave, and they didn't stay all the war years there. They ended up coming like in the beginning of the war to Canada. And the others moved on afterwards from Kobe, Japan to Shanghai, and they spent the rest of the war years in Shanghai till a long time after the war. It's like 2 years till they managed to get out from there. So
But you know,
I think Rabbi Hirschman was from those that managed to come out earlier to Canada. And that's where the 9 Talmidim of Lubavitch that built up the Montreal community also came earlier. They came, I think, to San Francisco, but they had to go. They were not allowed to off the train. The immigration watched them till they got into Canada.
There was a guy who had a whole bunch of boys in Montreal, couldn't find shidduchim for them, and when all these Lubavitcher boys showed up, he made shidduchim for all of them. All these guys became brother-in-law.
Yeah, who Borenstein? Who was it?
Bornstein, Tannenbaum, I don't know.
What, Tannenbaum was a Borenstein, his wife? Was
Yeah, their sister.
Rabbi Hendel?
Handle also. Yeah.
But you should to look it up, by the way. Rabbi Hirschman's memoirs to find out what it's called, but it's a very interesting memoirs. And he describes that my mother used to call me my Kaddishal.
Oh. Rabbi, can I ask if
Yeah.
you can make the class that if Ashramah for Birkas Ben Rina?
Ilchas Benina for Shlema. Okay, so
Wait, a second. We're talking about Kaddish,
Yeah.
more Fagel. So I said Kaddish for him in 11 month. His daughter got engaged in Muncie. So the mother asked me, the less Kaddish is on the 11th month. It's by the engagement. If I can come, so I came with my wife. Somebody brought us, and I said Kaddish with 100 people. I said Kaddish by myself. I came home that night. He came to me in the dream. He had always big smile, and his English was very schwach. And he told me, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." My wife, I see I'm schwitzing. She said, "What happened?" So I told her. She didn't believe me. I said, "I saw him. He came to me with a big smile. He always was smiling. His English was very broken." He said, "Thank you."
she still lives here. She comes in.
lives.
Down.
So his 2 daughters. The twins? I don't.
No.
Okay. The other thing we learned was that this Koishal Bracha that we're going to do when it's a mitzvah and a mufcher, 3 or 10, you do it with the yayin, and when there's no yayin, we do a chamar hamadina. We're holding Siv Dalet.
What does that mean, Havadina? What's that?
Beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, drinks like that. Koishal Bracha tzarech shel pogum.
How do you can miss that?
Shimshas mimenu pogmoi. Afilu lehikriv elav ela espiv. It's covered of the bracha. You should not taste from that kois. Should not be wine that's been tasted from. Afilu lehikriv elav espiv. Even if you didn't, you put your mouth on it. Shafach letoich piv. It's also considered pogum. You didn't pour it directly into your mouth. It's still considered not pogum. V'shasa ein meklaklum. It's good for the bracha.
Why so many chumrot on the course?
For the melech, you have to have a proper coin. Would you serve the melech something that you want like this? Melech has to have wine that's pure, unblemished wine, not touched. The whole Yadut, we have dinim and chumras because we're here only to serve the melech. So we don't have independence. You have a boss. So v'hu shalishafa chel ma'at be'inish adayin shem moli olav. When do we say it's okay that you pour it out into your hands or to another keli, another cup? It's not pogum. It's not an issue. It's only when you pour it out a little bit. Because if you pour out a lot, that is another issue you're going to come into. You got to get into the din of mali. You're supposed to have a kois mali, a full cup. Or as long as, or you pour it into another cup that's smaller. So even though you pour it out, it's not mali anymore. You pour it into a smaller becher. In the smaller becher, it is mali. Oi, shazayla katoicha is a double like bia yain she kois mali. Shin tzarich is mali kois. Hulim yain. Kidai brevis actually yichaser. What happens if you have a cup like this and the water is not, the wine is not going to the top? Put something into it, but like an ice cube. It'll make it rise to the top. Or throw something else into it.
Fruit into it?
Yeah, put a
Like
fruit into
grapes
it.
or something?
Yeah, and lift it up to the top. As long as I have a revius in there, it doesn't matter that I'm making it full with something else. As long as the wine's going to reach to the top. Mali. Or pour into a smaller cup. Afilu shasa mehakad. It's a separate din from pogrom. There's malay and there's pogrom, two separate dinim. Afilu shasa mehakad, even if one drank from the barrel. Mechavish al cheres, from the earthenware barrels where they store the wine in. Shikatana, which is small. Nifgam b'kol hayayin shebahem.
Wow.
All the wine becomes pogrom. Al shasa mechavish eitz, if you drink from the barrels that are made out of wood, which are large, gedoyla. Ein lahakbid is not a concern because it's very large. We don't consider that pogrom. But yesh machminin, there are those that are machmer even in such a case. Some rishonim. Yesh lachush adveim lechatchila. Lechatchila, we should be concerned for the words. Shaloi lahaniach lishtes afil mipi barza mechavis gedoyla.
How you can
Even
drink
from the faucet,
How
of
you
the
can drink?
faucet of a large barrel.
barrel? How you drink?
Someone, not that you drink for kiddush. Someone goes over to the barrel and he drinks from the top, sips out some of the water.
How you can drink from the top? A big barrel. You take how
Oh, you lean over. Lean over into the barrel. Put your head
like
to the
a
back.
dog, like a cat.
Yeah.
You never saw the places where they keep the wine, the big places.
Barrel. I like
The water
big,
fountain.
Yeah.
People go to the water fountain, they go like this.
It spouts. It just comes out of the
They
stress.
put a faucet in the bottom, open it.
You learned in Montreal, right?
No,
No?
I was in camp for 6 years.
One of my sons wrote that.
So the Volv Greenglass would say, Alav Shalom, he would say to Mashpia, he has three problems with the Bachram using the water fountain that was right outside the Zal. Three problems he has with the Bachram, you drinking it. One problem is that your drink, when you make the bracha, the water is moving. And that's the same water, the water that you made the bracha on is already down in the drain. One problem.
Right.
Second,
Second problem, I think, was that you're
with the shield.
maybe you're standing. Maybe
Not-
what
you're
you
not
should
sitting?
sit. The third problem was that you're it's like a behemoth. You go to the food instead of bringing the food to you.
It's true.
Does anything get past the water fountain? He said it in a nice way, and that's what he would tell the Bachram.
Did you stop drinking?
He was there.
About cups.
So he would tell them that.
I also see many times that sitting before they drink any drink, they put a finger inside to make a pogrom and then they drink. What's the
No, this is what it's.
Anything.
And this Alter Rebbe discusses in Shulchan Aruch.
what's the
The
concept?
Hilchos Shmiras Hagufa Nefesh says that drinks that are not water drinks, like other drinks,
Even water.
you pour a little bit out
Either
because the
put-
shade,
Oh,
the shed, the Shindala drank a little bit from it,
Lee.
pour a little bit out.
Yeah,
That's
but
what it
today we have
says.
no shading today.
Yeah, Rambam said no more shading. They went to Africa.
Mhm.
Hoodies. No, he just said there's no more.
The Baal Shem Tov, they say the Baal Shem Tov, they chased away all the last shadim that there were. I mean, a lot of stories about Shem Tov were shadim. So the Gemara is full of stories of shadim.
Right.
But we don't hear about shadim anymore. Some people tell you some certain vacant house has shadim, you know. I don't know if I don't see the Lamaisa we change our behavior based on that. That the things that Chazal told us about shadim, we're still keep to it. Or some of them.
Some
I go like this. I go like a little bit like this. Do a little bit, a little finger, a little bit.
some people tell me
What's the idea?
you have to be careful not to go to cemeteries late at night.
By Grad, I don't think by seltzer. I have to look on the Shulchan Aruch.
It's only water or everything? Anything.
No, it's not everything. You know what? I don't remember.
No,
I have
but
to
it's the
look it up.
concept of till today is
Yeah,
If it's uncovered or any drink, the bottle, the
any drink.
you don't drink from the
uncovered-
bottle. That's I know. It's not menstrual.
That's because of mention. It has nothing to do with. I'm saying that's not to do with halacha. That's what some people don't want to. You know,
This doesn't. You don't see a rope take a bottle and drink. So it's just not nice.
America is different.
Yeah, you don't see a rope take a bottle of beer. Drink.
Yeah, Rav's not going to do it.
You will put in a cup and then drink. I mean, that's to show you this is not menstrual portion.
People today they start eating the hot dog in the beginning of the avenue. They finish the hot dog in the ending of the avenue.
Where's the bocha chana?
So could you help me with this? Somebody told me not to be very careful not to go to cemeteries late at night because the shedim,
Well,
especially women, because they'll attach themselves to them.
Women b'chlal, it doesn't say. It says they should be cautious with going to cemeteries, especially pregnant women.
Should be cautious.
Yeah, or if they're
Or
having
they
a
need it.
period, yeah, they need it.
Why?
Regular
Yeah, why?
women in Chabad were makeful that women who are not in those states they could go.
Right.
Other communities are more immaculate, like Belavaya, the women don't go to the cemetery.
Wow.
A lot of communities, and actually Yisrael, Yerushalayim, I don't think any
Certain,
women go, and the Chevra Kadisha doesn't let any women go.
wow. Certain
Yerushalayim to
community
the-
says that the woman even has to show somebody in the family passed away, they won't let them go even to the cemetery for a relative.
And
And they say,
Chabad, the Rebbe said not to institute that, and he wrote clearly not to bring this meaning into Chabad.
really?
But interestingly enough, by the Rebbe's own father's Levaya,
Yeah.
his father's Levaya, the Rebbe was not there. The Rebbe was in America when
Right.
his father was nifter.
Right.
I don't think he even heard it immediately after until he heard the news. You know, we have the diary that his mother wrote. His mother was a very good writer, very, very intelligent, the Rebbe's mother.
Mm.
And she wrote a lot. She had a very nice Hebrew. She knew how to write Hebrew very nicely. She had letters, and she knew a lot of languages, and she would write.
Oh.
And she also was very musical. Like she knew a lot of different various nigunim and variations in nigunim. Anyway, so she has a diary, a very interesting diary, in which she writes about her life. So part of the diary was printed like years ago because she like would send to someone like parts of the diary, like sent to someone who was close to her. She had sent like maybe pictures or copies of the diary. But then there was another half that she never gave out. And later on they not long ago, 10 years ago or so, they found the second half to the diary, I think in the Rebbe's house, and they published it also. And in there she writes, anyway, she describes how by her husband's Levaya,
Right.
so she writes that she did not go to the Levaya.
Wow.
She writes that she did not go to.
Wow.
She made all the arrangements, but she didn't go to the Levaya. So
Syrian
there was a
say-
minig, and Ad Hayyim in many communities. I don't think in Chassidish communities the ladies go to the.
Syrians say you have to, not only that, if you want to go, you have to ask your father's permission. They're talking about the children. The children are, even if they're 30, 20, you have to ask your father if you can go to the cemetery.
There is things up in Kabbalah
Right.
about in the Levaya,
Right.
things like that, going
Right.
after.
Right.
They don't in Chabad. The children don't go after the parents' Levaya. Definitely not the father.
Right.
And a lot are marked by the mother also, not to walk after the Aron in the Levaya. This is more.
More Zohar.
Yeah, more Kabbalah things.
We went ahead.
They stay in the car usually.
We went ahead. Wherever the line was in, we went ahead.
They wait till everyone's finished the Levaya and then they join the procession, but they're not.
No,
Don't
we don't
walk
walk in the Levaya. You go ahead
of the Aron.
before the yes.
I hear you. Okay, so Lamaisa, Kois Pogom Yichoyim Lasakne Sivhei Aidishi Sifol Mat Yain Sheikar HaPogom Mishum Shashasa Mimenu. Shechoizer Maisa Fala Misken Bekach Kme Begimas Hamizbeach Shemisken Choizer V'Soismei. If you had a kois that was pogum, it was blemished, you can fix it by adding a little bit more wine into it.
That's why when people have a lot of big becher and stuff, like, they take the bottle, put a little bit, then they put in the bottle. People drink, let's say, a cup like that, right?
Then they give it out.
You have more than a half left, and you don't want to spill it out. Take the bottle, just put a little bit inside. Then
Yeah. We're going to see this right now. V'chein, im hichzer yain shebekois pogum l'kankan. If you pour back the wine into the bottle, this bottle b'toiche b'roiv b'kosher. If there's roiv in the bottle, comes kosher. What you just said was both together. We're going to see that soon. Over here we have two mutually exclusive heterim. One is you can pour a drop of wine into the cup and it won't be pogum. The other one is by taking the wine and pouring it back into the bottle.
and the bottle has more.
And it's bottle b'roiv.
Right.
Mikol mokim ein lasis kain. No, you should not do that. The v'chein, therefore, noigim lahoisu olav mat me'akankan.
Page top of construction.
You should not do the second eitzah of pouring pouring it back into the bottle, and therefore the minig is to first add a little bit from the bottle into the cup, like you were saying. Was that miskin? Then it becomes corrected. You take it back out of the bottle fresh for the bracha when you need to use it. For all of miskin. Even a little bit of water is good. Whether it's wine, whether it's other mashkin, a little water is okay. If you don't have any other wine, if you have wine, you should do wine to wine, beer to beer. If you don't have, you can use water. Water could be masakin all the different types. If you put in a lot of water, you got to be careful. A lot of water will ruin the drink. Diluted wine will not taste good. Or beer. You'll ruin the whole taste. Even though water is a b'diavad way of fixing up a kois pogum when it comes to other chamara medina and other types of drinks, because you should really do beer to beer, vodka to vodka, and the sakin each with its own type. But water b'diavad works for all of them. If you don't have their type. For wine, water works l'chatchila. Why wine don't you need to have wine dafken and water l'chatchila? Because the derech is to mix water into wine, because wines are very strong. You mix water into the wine to dilute it.
Especially being mayhem, you couldn't drink
right.
the way.
If the water itself is pagum, someone drank from that water, you can't be masakin. You can't even pour it into wine which is not pagum. You're going to ruin it. If you have good wine in a cup, you want to, it's very strong, the wine. You want to dilute it with water. Don't dilute it with water which you drank from that cup of water, because that will make it pagum. And the water won't become bottled to the wine, even the wine is more, is beroiv. Because you're gonna taste the water in the wine, you're gonna taste it that there's water in there. Bittul doesn't work when you see the davar ha'asr falls in. Let's say milk falls into meat. If you see where it fell in, you have to remove that piece that it fell on. The whole idea of bittul is when the piece is not the treif, the meat fell into the kosher meat. I don't see where it is. I say it's bittul. If I know where it is, I have to take it out. Over here, when you can taste it, it doesn't become bittul. Sheyayim mazuk eini shava b'tayim l'she'eni mazuk. Shasat chak she'eni lo yayim v'le mayim mutter levarach ha'kois pagam levarach v'le kois klal. You have to know that kois pogum is only safkal safkal chatzchila. But the Yabed, you cannot say I'm not going to make kiddush because I only have a kois pogum. You have to make kiddush on the kois pogum, unless you have chamara medina. If you have places where there is chamara medina, then you should use the chamara medina instead of using kois pogum of yayin.
All right,
That's why you see, by the way, before Kiddush, this, by the way, has nothing to do with Shabbos specifically. This is all Kaisha Bracha. We learned over here in Siman, Birkas HaMazon, discussing that we hold the halacha like the third opinion. That's a mitzvah muvchar. You make a zimun of a gimel or a yud, you should make with a kais. That Kaisha Bracha, or any other Kaisha Bracha that you're going to do, for a bris, for Pidin Aben, for a Nesuin, Havdalah, for Kiddush, wherever it might be, a Kaisha Bracha has to have certain standards to it. It can't just be any cup on the table. It's for the melech. It can't be pogrom. It has to be malay. It has certain conditions. So this is even during the week. You have to make sure that it has this standard.
I saw a place that they're making kiddush, full cup, but people were sensitive and they told the guy make kiddush, don't drink from the cup.
Oh,
Take the first one for you and then give everybody. It didn't. You understand?
take what?
It's full with
Or you
kiddush.
want the
I make
cup
a
to
kiddush.
another cup.
I cannot drink it and then give people. I take in the cup a little bit, small cup, drink it, and then pour for everybody.
That's a good idea, but one thing to correct. Don't drink a little. Make sure you drink.
Revi'it, yeah, of course.
Roi revi'it.
Okay,
As long as you drink a cheek full, malay
No
lugmav,
problem.
but
Then,
it's okay, right?
100%. That's what I do every Shabbos.
Oh, you take.
Pour off everybody, or you-
Especially, the truth is, I don't always do that. I do it when there's guests.
Yeah,
Whenever
because
there's
guests,
guests.
you don't know.
People don't want to drink from the same
Families,
cup. People are not comfortable. So l'chatchila, before you drink, pour out into another cup,
Mhm.
enough for them, for all whoever were the guests, and then you drink. After you drink, Roi Revi'is, they can partake of that cup.
Right.
But not before. You have to drink first. Then other people will take from the cup.
I-
But a lot of people do is after they make kiddush. Now the wine here is pagum. So even though the mitzvah kiddush is over now people that are sipping from it are just sipping for the mitzvah and mufchar to drink from the kaisha bracha. Remember, we spoke a few times that in the past, Luchas Kiddush, that drinking from the wine is not ma'akiv. People think I have to drink from it in order to be Yaitse Kiddush. No.
You cannot drink.
Kiddush is finished when the Mekadesh drank from the cup, it's over. You don't need to drink from it. Mitzvah and muvchar to drink from that kais because a bracha was made on it. So in order to do that mitzvah and muvchar in a better way, you want to drink from wine that's not pogum, but this wine is pogum. So what some people do is before they give it out to their family or whoever else to drink, they drink from the becher, then they pour a little bit of wine into it,
The bottle, yeah.
the bottle to masakin it.
Make it not pagum.
Not pogum. But you have the other eitzah is, like you're saying, which is really the best eitzah, because even when you do this and you make it not pogum, there's still a certain chisaron to it, certain thing which is lacking. And that is that when you added wine to it, that added wine was not kosher bracha wine. No bracha was made on it.
But it mixed.
Itaka made it no longer pogum. But that wine is not kosher bracha.
doesn't overtake it.
It doesn't overtake it because it's not roiv. You always pour in less than what's there. It doesn't overtake it, but that now is diluted with wine, which is not only kosher bracha. So therefore, the better eitzah l'chora to be what's the best eitzah l'chora is that before you drink, you pour into another cup, and then
Today they make already like the fancy cup.
The spouts.
And then you go like for 10 small
Oh,
cup.
yeah.
right. The Mishabruda, by the way, I find it's more like something for fancy. I don't see. Do people actually do it every single week? But
He doesn't use it.
I actually drink from the cup that the Rebbe drank at Dollar.
yeah.
On the same,
You were standing nearby.
the Rebbe gave the kosher mocha, right? The Rebbe drink. Then he gave the same cup that the Rebbe drank
How did you have?
by kosher mocha.
No, but you didn't drink from that cup. When he poured it out.
But I'm saying this is the same cup that the Rebbe drank. It was adding up more water.
I hope you didn't wash your mouth for a month.
One time I went by for Kosher Bracha, and I walked by, so my father was behind me, but the crowd was pushing. So there was so when I walked by, so my hand like as I jolted upwards, and
The wine.
some of the wine spilled, like it went onto my forehead. Some of the wine like sprayed out. I still had some wine. But the crowd, everyone's pushing you to move forward, to move along, keep the line moving. So I went down those steps there. I went down to the bottom of the steps. My father came down afterwards, and I told him my forehead is sticky. He's, like Paul tells him, okay, nothing, everything's fine. A little while later, he calls me over. He said, what exactly happened over there? And I told him the whole thing. So he said to me, after you went by, the Rebbe took his becher and he wanted to give you more wine. But we didn't know what the Rebbe was doing. He was with a chaver. He didn't know why the Rebbe was sticking his hand after you. He didn't know why. Now we understand why the Rebbe was sticking. And he noticed and he wanted to give.
What just happened? And
wanted to give some more wine.
but you already gone, so you didn't realize.
You remember those little bottles they used to give? The little.
Betsy used to have a pharmacy and used to give it with his name. Yeah, Betsy.
What?
Betsy used to have a plastic bottle with his pharmacy. I remember that.
The other guy
You still have it, right?
Alishevitz.
Yes, I partnered with him
Oh yeah, because I helped the Lishevitz one. I remember
Yeah,
once.
I had these little stickers on the bottles.
I remember there was stickers on
I
it.
still
We
have
used to
one.
say the date of the.
I don't know that I still get those bottles today.
I remember throwing around, like as kids, throwing around the bottle. People wanted. They would motion they want. You would throw them the bottle, like different size. There were little sizes. You
Right.
still have them? There's the little and the
I
bigger.
have one. I don't know.
Oh, so you gave the sticker. You would give the bottles to
Yeah,
him,
I paid him for the bottles.
and you would advertise.
Yeah.
Uh, it was advertisement.
When I was
Medicine.
when I was a kid, I remember my father was living over here in Gato Shabocha. He got this plastic cup and they put it in an envelope and sent it to Israel. When he came to our house, what a simcha. Whoa, we got wine from the Rebbe. You have no idea what a simcha was. It's like a whole yomtiv.
I just heard
And then
some.
what happened? We opened like a small bottle. We barely have like one drop to drop. But the simcha was so big, you have no idea.
I just heard a story from Shmuel Lu from London that he said that during the
It was a
Hey
hot
Tavis, now during the story of Hey Tavis, the Natzach, so he was here in New York Sunday night. He was here and he was planning on leaving Sunday night. But he got word from Rabbi Krinsky's son that, that it should be coming out very soon, the psak. So stay here. So he stayed and he was able to be here. He didn't have to come back. He was here Tuesday when they came to the news. Anyway, so he said that during the period before, um, so the Rebbe was concerned that maybe people would try to, people come back and take Svarim from the Friedekebe's room and upstairs. So the Rebbe had the Hoiling Galite should be learning. They took rotation learning there on that floor.
to watch.
Watch.
Go on.
So he said that late at night was he heard from one of the Ingalite. He was learning there and he was coughing. He had a cough. He was coughing. And so in the middle of the night came Rabbi it was 24-hour shifts. So they had shifts 24 hours. So Rabbi Klein, the Rebbe secretary, Rabbi Klein came upstairs with a bottle of honey. He said it was Schneerson's honey from Krachabad. And he said that the Rebbe hears the coughing. Because the Rebbe has by his room the steps to go to the Friedekebe's. He heard the coughing. And the Rebbe said that you should drink tea with this honey, with the honey.
Wow.
So he said he was by this person's house in Pittsburgh. This guy's name is Vogel, he said. And he said he was in his house and the guy gave him, some of the honey.
that
And then he took home a little piece and everyone was trying to get a little a little bit of the honey.
Wow.
He actually interesting what he said then. He said that the morning of when the judge gave out the thing, so he said that the court notified, Rabbi Krinsky should come to pick it up at the court. Paperwork. He didn't know what it was going to say. So he came and he quickly looked to the ending. Okay, we won. So he goes into the car. So he called up the Rabbi Klein, the other secretary, and he said, let the Rebbe know,
Yes,
that.
you won.
So Rabbi Klein came to the Rebbe's door. He didn't need to knock because Rabbi Groner was already inside doing some paperwork for the Rebbe. So he came into the room and he was approaching the Rebbe's desk to let him know. The Rebbe was so pained by this episode and they should let him know the simcha. But the Rebbe was in the middle of learning. And the Rebbe didn't pick up his head. And he wanted to get the Rebbe's attention, but they wouldn't dare disturb the Rebbe. So he was standing and he tried a little shuffle with his feet and this and that, and it wasn't working. It was totally involved in learning. It was like about 5-7 minutes later, suddenly the Rebbe Krinsky had called from the car phone. They had a big car phone in the Rebbe's car. So he told the Rebbetzin over the news. So the Rebbetzin knew, and she told one of the people who worked in the Rebbe's house, Rabbi Halberstam, that he told him the news. So the Rebbe didn't know, but everyone else knew. So Rabbi Halberstam came quickly to 770. He set up a whole speaker system, and they all started dancing in front of 770. No, the Rebbe doesn't even know yet. So he said that suddenly the Rebbe hears suddenly outside, there's like a whole chasana going on. So he picks up his head and he says, yeah, was tut sich? Was das? So he said that he did not say, that there was the paper. So he gave the Rebbe. Oh, so he didn't have the paperwork. So he said, when as soon as Rabbi Krinsky comes, tell him to come in. Paperwork, and he went right back to the sefer. He continued learning.
Wow.
Those were the two stories which I heard from listeners from.
Also, we were talking about the drink. It was a chosan. It was very close with the Rebbetzin. So he came with his scholar to the Rebbetzin house, and she served a pitcher with a drink, and every cup have a straw. So it was polite.
But like I think a real straw,
Yeah, so it was polite. He wanted to do this, and he knocked down with his hand the cups. You know how embarrassing it is for them. And she's like, "Oh, Mazel Tov, what a simcha!" Chassim
say the story of Rabbi Akiva Eiger that by his seder he had a guest that
spilled some white.
he spilled the becher on the table. So the whole table was in this wine over here on the table. Seder table with the fun of Akiva Eiger was so embarrassed. Quickly, Rabbi Akiva Eiger suddenly somehow spilled his becher,
Right.
and he announced, "It seems like the table is shaky."
Nothing bad.
Embarrassing.
That's too embarrassing.
Seems like the table's a little shaky over here.
When Friedrich Rebbe wanted to bring in, the Rebbe was sitting on the side, and the leg broke. And the Rebbe continued sitting over there. And Friedrich Rebbe get up and went, and the Rebbe still continued sitting. Everybody's like, I don't understand. After they gave it up, the table fell. That's why the Rebbe was saying, wow.
Wow.
Shkoyach, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay, we have a meeting.
Yeah, we got exactly 10 years.
No, you got more. More.
No, there's some, there's nothing. No? Nothing.
Are you in touch with your son? Do you hear from him? He has he's able to communicate in combat.
Oh my God. I quit my already.
I don't think his son is in Gaza.
Oh,
He says he's an active duty.
I don't think he's in Gaza. He's probably not in Gaza.
He's talking, but we can't hear him.